Hi, I'm James Varney with the NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune. I'm here with Bob Mann from LSU's Manship School and also with NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune. And we are going to be talking a little bit here about the runoff, which will pit the incumbent Democratic Senator Mary Landrieu against Republican House member Bill Cassidy. And was there anything about the election? I mean, I guess you weren't surprised that it's these two in a runoff, right?
No, not at all.
Right.
Not at all.
Was there anything about the way they both came into it that surprised you?
I thought maybe like some other people that she would do a bit better with white voters. I think that to me that's the big news is that how poorly Landrieu did with among white voters, 18%, 15% among white males, down from 33% in 2008.
Well, that's a figure you mentioned in the column talking about the 30-30 target that they try to hit.
So why do you maybe you?
Well,
why
I
do you
actually
think it was?
wasn't that surprised because I thought that the poll, I should say this, the 42%, which seemed to catch some people by surprise, didn't catch me that much by surprise because if you looked at like the RCP average and whatnot, it kind of had Cassidy moving ahead and in a good position for probably at least 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks going up to the election. So that didn't surprise me, but I was a little surprised that it stayed that way all night because you expected the Orleans parish numbers to be coming in late, as they usually do, and those would be big for her.
Yeah.
And I think that leads to another thing I wanted to ask you about, which was, with everybody saying, oh, it's over, that Cassidy has this big lead, it seems to me that can work both ways in terms of getting the vote out. Cassidy's guys could stay home and say, I don't have to vote, it's over. And Landrieu's going to have a hard time motivating her people. How do you do that?
Well, the Cassidy people, as you've noticed, they're not letting their foot off the accelerator. They've got people like Marco Rubio and others coming in. They are really going into overdrive on turnout because they know that is a problem for them. And not so publicly, Landrieu is ramping up as best she can her turnout efforts in the black community. And unfortunately, African Americans make up 32% of the state's population,
and she needs them to turn out.
She needs them to turn out in historic numbers, and even if they turned out in historic numbers, she still needs more white votes than she's going to get.
Are there any other elections on the ballot, like for example in St. Tammany, there's a big kind of DA's race that could bring some people out? Anything else you see on the ballot that might bring people in addition to the Senate?
Yeah, there's both congressional races, Edwin Edwards.
Right, up here with Graves and Edwards, sure.
And then up in North Louisiana in the 5th District, the African-American mayor of Monroe is in a runoff. So
he was the leading vote getter, I think, in the primary, right?
Yeah, so the Landrieu campaign, the Democrats in general are hoping that generates a turnout. The problem is, I think those two campaigns are piggybacking on Landrieu.
Right.
Landrieu is sort of hoping she could piggyback on those two races, and that's probably not going to happen.
So it's a concern about whether or not anybody has any coattails.
Right.
All right. Well, Bob and I will probably be back to talk about what happens on December 6th here at NOLA.com.